Have you ever noticed how some women walk into a room and every man's attention shifts, while others remain invisible despite their beauty, intelligence, and charm? It's not coincidence, it's not luck, and it's certainly not about having perfect features or saying the right words. There exists a rare feminine energy that most women never discover within themselves. An energy so magnetic, so intoxicating that it reaches into a man's unconscious mind and awakens something primal, something ancient, something he cannot resist or forget. Carl Jung spent decades studying this phenomenon, and what he discovered will change how you understand the deepest forces of attraction forever. When a woman embodies this energy, she doesn't just catch a man's interest. She becomes his obsession. She becomes the woman he thinks about when he's alone, the one he compares all others to, the one who haunts his dreams and occupies his thoughts, even when she's not there. In simple terms, men don't become obsessed with you as a person. They become obsessed with how you make them feel. They become addicted to the energy you carry, the mystery you represent, the feminine force you embody that speaks to the deepest part of their soul. Today, I will reveal some sacred elements of this feminine energy. Elements that can transform you from being just another woman he meets into the woman he cannot live without. Some of these truths may surprise you. Others may awaken something you've felt but never understood. Stay until the end, because the final element will not only make you unforgettable, but will show you a power you never knew you possessed. Deep within every man's psyche lives an image of the perfect woman. Not perfect in the way society defines it, but perfect in the way his soul recognizes it. Carl Jung called this the anima, the feminine energy that exists within every masculine soul, waiting to be awakened by the right woman. This isn't about his mother, his ex-girlfriend, or any woman he's ever met in reality. The anima is older than memory, deeper than conscious thought. It carries the essence of what his masculine spirit craves but cannot create within himself. Softness when he is hard, intuition when he relies on logic, emotional depth when he lives on the surface, mystery when his world is too predictable. When you inadvertently activate his anima, something extraordinary happens. You stop being just another woman and become a symbol. You become the living embodiment of what his soul has been searching for, often without him even realizing he was searching at all. Think of water meeting fire. The fire doesn't simply warm the water, it transforms it into something entirely different. Steam, mist, something that rises and becomes part of the air itself. This is what happens when your feminine energy touches his anima. You don't just attract him, you become part of his psychological landscape. But here's what most women don't understand. The anima isn't awakened by trying to be what you think men want. It's not activated by conforming to magazine covers or dating advice. The anima responds to authenticity, to the courage to be fully yourself in all your contradictions and complexities. You might be gentle in one moment, then fierce and uncompromising in the next. You might be vulnerable about your dreams, then suddenly sharp and witty when someone underestimates you. These aren't flaws to hide. They're the very contradictions that make you magnetically real in a world full of artificial perfection. When a man encounters a woman who dares to live authentically in all her emotional layers, his anima stirs, and when the anima awakens, obsession begins. Not because you've manipulated him, but because you've touched something in his soul that he didn't even know was sleeping. Yet awakening his anima is only the beginning. Because what keeps a man obsessed isn't just touching his unconscious desires, but creating an emotional experience he's never had before. Men are drawn to emotional movement the way ships are drawn to lighthouses in a storm. It's not the calm, predictable light that captures their attention. It's the beacon that cuts through darkness, that promises both safety and adventure, that signals depth and mystery all at once. This is the power of emotional contrast, and it's perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of feminine magnetism. Most women believe they need to be consistently pleasant, always agreeable, perpetually positive to keep a man interested. But this creates emotional flatland, a predictable landscape that the masculine mind quickly maps and then ignores. Emotional contrast is different. It's the ability to shift gracefully between different emotional states. Not because you're unstable, but because you're alive. You're not afraid to feel deeply, to show vulnerability, to express strength, to be playful, to be serious, to be all the versions of yourself that exist within you. Imagine this. You're laughing together over something silly, your eyes bright with joy. Then the conversation shifts to something meaningful, and your entire energy transforms. Your voice becomes softer, more thoughtful. Your eyes hold a different kind of depth. You share something real, something that matters to you. The man listening feels something shift inside him too. This isn't manipulation. This is the natural result of being emotionally honest, of allowing yourself to feel and express the full spectrum of human experience. And it creates something psychological. Research calls the dopamine variable reward system. Just like people become addicted to games or stories that are unpredictable, men become psychologically hooked on women who offer emotional variety. You become a mystery he wants to solve, a book he can't put down, a song with verses he's never heard before. Every interaction offers the possibility of discovering something new about you, and this possibility becomes addictive. But emotional contrast without foundation is chaos. What transforms this natural emotional fluidity into true magnetic power is the unshakable center from which it flows. Here lies one of the greatest paradoxes of attraction. The more complete you are alone, the more irresistible you become to others. The more you need no one, the more everyone wants to be needed by you. Carl Jung wrote about individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. When a woman has walked this path, when she has learned to nurture herself, to find joy in her own company, to create meaning in her own life, she radiates an energy that is absolutely magnetic to the masculine soul. This isn't about pretending you don't care or acting aloof. This is about genuinely being so full, so rich in your inner world, so engaged with your own growth and dreams and passions, that you enter relationships from a place of overflow rather than emptiness. A man can sense this immediately. He can feel the difference between a woman who needs him to feel complete and a woman who chooses him because she wants to share her completeness. The first feels like pressure, like responsibility, like a burden. The second feels like a gift, like an invitation into something beautiful and rare. When you don't need a man to rescue you, to validate you, to give your life meaning, something profound happens in his psychology. You become scarce, not artificially scarce, but genuinely rare. Because most people, if they're honest, are looking for someone else to fill the holes in their lives. When you don't have those holes, when you're already whole, you stand apart. This wholeness shows up in small ways that create big impacts. You don't check your phone anxiously waiting for his text. You have your own plans, your own friends, your own interests that light you up. When he asks if you're free tonight, you might genuinely have other things you'd rather do. And this isn't playing hard to get. This is simply having a life so rich that his presence, while wonderful, isn't necessary for your happiness. Men are hunters by nature, drawn to what they cannot easily possess. When you are already complete, you become something he wants to earn rather than something he can take for granted. But completeness alone isn't enough to create lasting obsession. There must also be an element that keeps him guessing, wondering, reaching for more. In a world where people share every thought on social media, every meal on Instagram, every feeling in real-time updates, mystery has become the rarest and most precious gift you can offer. Not the kind of mystery that comes from playing games or withholding affection, but the sacred mystery that comes from depth, from having inner worlds that can't be explored in a single conversation. Carl Jung understood that what we cannot fully grasp often has the strongest hold on our imagination. When a man cannot completely figure you out, cannot predict your every response, cannot map all your emotional territories, you become endlessly fascinating to his mind. This doesn't mean being secretive or deceptive. It means understanding that you are a complex being with layers, and not every layer needs to be revealed immediately. It means having thoughts you don't share, experiences that have shaped you in ways you don't explain to everyone, dreams and fears and hopes that you reserve for the right moments, the right person, the right level of intimacy. When someone asks about your past, you might smile and say, "That's a story for another time when we know each other better." When they want to know what you're thinking, you might sometimes say, "Just enjoying this moment," and let them wonder. When they try to categorize you, you reveal another facet that doesn't quite fit their assumptions. Mystery creates space for his imagination to work. And the imagination, Jung discovered, is far more powerful than reality in creating emotional attachment. When a man's mind fills in the blanks about you with his own projections, his own desires, his own idealized images, you become not just yourself, but also the woman of his dreams. The key is that this mystery must be authentic. It must come from genuine depth, not artificial withholding. You must actually have rich inner worlds, complex thoughts, meaningful experiences worth being mysterious about. Otherwise, when the mystery is finally revealed, there's nothing there, and the obsession dies. But when your mystery is rooted in genuine depth, when there are always new layers to discover, new aspects to explore, you become an endless source of fascination. And yet, even the most mysterious woman will lose a man's obsession if she's always available, always accessible, always there. This is where psychology meets strategy, where understanding meets application. It's the difference between being wanted and being craved, between being liked and being obsessed over. The principle is rooted in scarcity psychology. Human beings, especially men with their hunter instincts, are naturally drawn to what they cannot easily obtain. Not because it's better, but because the pursuit itself creates value in their minds. What requires effort feels more precious than what comes freely. But this isn't about playing hard to get in the traditional sense. It's about understanding that your energy, your time, your presence are valuable resources that shouldn't be given away indiscriminately. It's about having genuine boundaries that protect your own well-being while creating natural scarcity. Picture this scenario. It's Friday evening, and he texts asking if you want to hang out. You're actually free, but you also had plans to take a long bath, read a book you've been enjoying, and go to bed early. The old you might cancel your self-care to be available to him. The woman who understands strategic feminine power responds, "I've got plans tonight, but I'm free Sunday afternoon if you'd like to do something." This isn't rejection, it's self-respect. And men feel the difference in every fiber of their being. When you're not always available, when you don't drop everything for him, when you have a life rich enough that his invitation, while appreciated, isn't automatically the best option for your evening. Something shifts in his psychology. Suddenly, time with you becomes special. Your attention becomes valuable. Your presence becomes a prize rather than a given. And when someone feels they have to earn something, they value it exponentially more than if it were simply handed to them. This principle extends beyond just scheduling. It's about emotional availability too. You don't have to respond to every mood, every request for attention, every bid for your emotional energy. Sometimes the most powerful response is a gentle, "I can see you're upset, but I'm not in the space to talk about this right now. Let's revisit it tomorrow when we can both be more present." The beauty of strategic scarcity is that it's as much about protecting your own energy as it is about creating attraction. When you're selective about where you invest your time and attention, you preserve your own well-being while naturally creating the psychological conditions that deepen his investment in you. Because here's what happens in his mind. Every time he has to wait for your response, wonder about your availability, or work to earn your attention, he's mentally investing in you. And the more someone invests, the more attached they become. It's not about manipulation, it's about natural psychological law. But strategic scarcity reaches its full power only when combined with the final element, the one that transforms temporary obsession into lasting, deep attachment. When you weave all these elements together, something magical happens. You don't just become attractive, you become irreplaceable. You don't just catch his interest, you become essential to his emotional well-being. You become the woman he thinks about when he's alone, the one he compares all others to, the one who occupies a permanent space in his heart and mind. But here's the most beautiful part. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about becoming more fully who you already are. It's about awakening the feminine power that has always lived within you, waiting for you to recognize it, claim it, and express it. The anima you awaken is activated by your authenticity. The emotional contrast that captivates him flows from your willingness to feel deeply. The completeness that attracts him comes from your commitment to your own growth. The mystery that fascinates him emerges from your genuine depth. The scarcity that makes you precious reflects your understanding of your own value. You're not learning to manipulate men. You're learning to embody the fullest expression of your feminine essence. And when you do this, when you live from this place of authentic feminine power, you don't just attract men, you attract the right man, the one who recognizes your worth, who rises to meet your energy, who becomes obsessed not with controlling you, but with becoming worthy of you. This is your invitation, not to become someone else, but to become more completely yourself. To step into the feminine energy that has always been your birthright, waiting for you to claim it. Carl Jung said, "Your vision becomes clear when you can look into your own heart." When you start living from the inside out, when you embody these elements not as tactics but as truth, you become the woman who doesn't need to create obsession. You simply are obsession. You become the feminine force that men dream of, search for, and when they find you, can never bring themselves to let go. If you found value in these deeper truths about feminine energy, I'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. We're dedicated to exploring the profound psychological insights that can transform how you experience relationships and your own personal power. Remember, the power has always been within you, and now you know how to set it free.